In a small community in the Midwest of America, a close-knit family of 3 shared their lives. Their aged brick home wasn't extravagant, but it was well kept, with seasonal flowers flourishing in the modest front yard. In this home, Mildred Harrison lived with her parents, Frank and Martha. Mildred had been blind since she was born. However, her everyday experience was not so much shrouded in darkness, but rather filled with vibrant sounds, scents, and textures. Each morning, she awoke to the tempting smell of bacon wafting from the kitchen and the soft footsteps of Martha on the linoleum floor. Frank had a routine of rising precisely at 6 o'clock every morning, softly humming while brewing coffee. "Mildred, are you awake? It's another lovely day today," he would call out. Martha, who worked part-time as a cleaner, was always cheerful and radiated positivity in the household. "Good morning, Mom. I'm already up," Mildred replied, opening her bedroom door and navigating the familiar hallway. In this house, she moved as freely as anyone with sight. The layout of the walls, the placement of furniture, and even the creaky spots on the floor were all memorized in her mind. "You have Mrs. Johnson's appointment at 2 today. I heard there's a new client coming afterward," her mother reminded her. Mildred worked as a massage therapist in a small treatment room that had been created by converting part of their home's first floor. She helped relieve the fatigue of the townspeople. Her hands were sensitive and could precisely detect muscle tension and misalignments in the body. Many clients remarked that Mildred's hands felt magical, and some traveled from afar to seek her services. "Oh, right. It was Mr. Roberts, wasn't it?" Frank called from the kitchen. After retiring from the factory, he assisted with household chores and supported Mildred's work. He's been dealing with awful back pain for years. Frank was a man who had spent many years in the factory, with large hands and a slightly hunched back. Nevertheless, he was always gentle with Mildred and had helped her learn to read, taught her Braille, and patiently encouraged her independence since childhood. At the breakfast table, the 3 discussed their plans for the day. Mildred intended to join a Braille reading group at the local library between her appointments. Martha had cleaning duties at the hospital in the nearby town later in the day, while Frank planned to continue fixing things around the house. "Mildred, is your income situation okay? Don't push yourself too hard," Martha expressed with concern. Mildred's massage therapy business was well regarded and significantly contributed to their household income, but her parents often worried about her well-being. "I'm fine, Mom. I have more appointments than usual this month. Everyone seems to really enjoy my treatments," Mildred replied with a smile. Indeed, her massage therapy had become quite popular in town, and her schedule was always full. Although her earnings weren't high, they were enough for the 3 of them to lead a humble life. The bond within the Harrison family was stronger than mere blood ties. Frank and Martha had loved and nurtured Mildred since she was an infant. They may not have been financially wealthy, but they had built a warm home. The neighbors recognized this family's kindness and respected Mildred's brightness and her parents' unwavering love. After lunch, Mildred welcomed her first client in the treatment room. Her hands reliably eased the client's discomfort and soothed their spirits. Being unable to see wasn't a limitation for her. It was a gift that heightened her other senses. In the evening, the 3 gathered around the dinner table to share their day's experiences. Frank reported that he had finished repairing the old fireplace. Martha recounted events from the hospital, and Mildred was pleased that her new client's treatment had gone well. "We are truly a happy family," Martha expressed contentedly. Listening to her parents' voices, Mildred felt the same way. "Even though I can't see, growing up in a loving home has made me feel like one of the luckiest people in the world." With the arrival of spring, an unexpected change was about to unfold in Mildred's life. On the day of her annual eye exam, Martha left work early to accompany Mildred. The ophthalmology department at St. Mary's Hospital was a place Mildred had been visiting since she was a child. Sitting in the waiting area, she felt the warmth of Martha's hand beside hers. "Miss Harrison, today's test results are quite intriguing," Dr. Wilson, an experienced ophthalmologist who had been treating Mildred for 30 years, said. His voice carried a hint of excitement along with his usual calm demeanor. Mildred listened intently while seated in the examination chair. "Is there a problem?" Martha asked anxiously. "No. This might actually be good news. We're seeing signs of activity in Mildred's optic nerve, albeit slight. This is a response we've never observed in previous exams. Mildred sat in the chair, trying to grasp the doctor's words. For 32 years, she had never imagined that her eyes might someday see. The notion of vision recovery felt like a fantasy. What does that mean? There's a new treatment that has recently been developed. It doesn't work for everyone, but in Mildred's case, there's a chance for vision recovery. However, the outcome isn't guaranteed. The success rate is about 30%. Martha placed her hand on Mildred's shoulder, which trembled slightly. Sensing her mother's unease, Mildred felt her own heart race. What kind of treatment is it? It's a method that combines medication with specialized light therapy. It would need to be administered 3 times a week for about 3 months. The risk of side effects is low, but results can't be promised. As for costs, some parts are covered by insurance, while others are not. Mildred pondered quietly, feeling a blend of anxiety and hope about leaving behind the darkness she had known for 32 years. Yet, deep within her, a strong desire to see the world was beginning to grow. I'd like to try it. That evening, the atmosphere at the Harrison dinner table was filled with anticipation. When Frank returned home from work, Martha shared everything that had happened. Even their usually calm father appeared visibly shaken that day. "It truly is like a miracle," Frank said with profound emotion. "But Mildred, you don't have to push yourself. You're perfectly happy as you are now. Don't worry about the treatment costs either. We'll manage somehow." "That's right, Mildred. Whether you can see or not, you're our precious daughter. But if you truly could see, how wonderful that would be." Mildred felt warmth in her chest at her parents' loving words. They had always prioritized her needs. Yet, deep down, the desire to see the world was still blossoming. The treatment commenced the following week. The light therapy at the hospital was painless and felt pleasantly warm. The side effects from the medication were also mild, allowing Mildred to maintain her usual routine. Martha accompanied her every time, while Frank, despite being retired, began taking on odd jobs in the neighborhood to help cover the treatment expenses. "Dad, don't overdo it. It's fine, Mildred. This is an investment in your future." Frank's words were filled with deep affection. After about 3 weeks, Mildred started to notice subtle changes. In what had been complete darkness, a faint sensation of light began to emerge. It was so faint that she couldn't tell if it was a dream or reality. "Mom, I feel like there might be some changes." Martha squeezed Mildred's hand, trying to contain her excitement. "What does it feel like?" "Like light, like shadows. It's hard to explain, but something feels different. It's as if there's something beyond the fog." At the 6-week checkup, Dr. Wilson couldn't hide his astonishment. "This is incredible. The activity in the optic nerve has improved significantly. Let's continue the treatment. The recovery pace is better than anticipated." After that night, Mildred's world began to change rapidly. Initially, it was just the ability to differentiate between light and shadow, but gradually, she began to recognize shapes and colors. These were sensations she was experiencing for the first time. One morning, 2 months after treatment started, Mildred awoke to feel light streaming through her bedroom window. It was a vivid brightness unlike anything she had ever felt. "Is this what light is?" She cautiously opened her eyes. A world she could clearly see lay before her, even though the outlines were still blurry. The wall, window, and door, the shapes of things she had learned to recognize through touch for 32 years, were now visible to her. Mildred trembled with excitement and fear. Should she immediately tell her parents about this miraculous change? However, a special plan began to form in her mind. "I want to surprise Mom and Dad." She stood in front of the mirror and saw her own face for the first time. It was slightly different from what she had envisioned over the 32 years, but that face radiated deep gratitude and love for her parents. 3 months after treatment began, Mildred's vision had fully returned. However, she chose not to inform anyone about it. Each morning, she continued to dress by touch as usual and assisted her parents in preparing breakfast with familiar motions. "Mildred, how are you feeling today? You seem to have a brighter expression lately." "Just the same as always, Mom," she answered with a smile. In reality, she was seeing her mother's gentle expression and her father's loving eyes for the first time. The love she had previously experienced only through voices and touch could now be confirmed through sight. Martha's face bore deep wrinkles, formed by years of hard work, but they created a beautiful smile. Frank's hands were rough from years of factory labor, yet they were always gentle when supporting Mildred. Her parents' hair had turned grayer, but their expressions were still filled with love. "I want to express my gratitude to Mom and Dad in a special way," Mildred resolved in her heart. She was waiting for the perfect moment to reveal the miracle of her regained vision, along with her appreciation for her parents. Even while treating clients in her room, Mildred closed her eyes and used her usual methods. However, whenever she was alone between appointments, she took a moment to look around her treatment room with her eyes for the first time. The clean, warm atmosphere was a space her parents had lovingly created. "This truly is a wonderful treatment room," Mildred said aloud, admiring the encouraging letters from her parents displayed on the wall and the handmade decorations. Everything was infused with love. During dinner, Mildred listened to her parents' conversation while observing their expressions for the first time. Martha showed a bright demeanor that masked today's weariness, while Frank was genuinely happy about his daughter's achievements. "Mildred, you seem to have a brighter expression lately. Could the treatment be having an impact?" "Do you think so?" "Yes. Has something good happened?" Mildred smiled. Indeed, the most remarkable miracle was unfolding. Yet, what was even more wonderful than that miracle was her parents' unwavering love over the past 32 years. "Nothing extraordinary has happened, but I find joy in every day." That night, Mildred wandered around the house alone. The furniture, walls, and floors she had memorized by touch for 32 years were now confirmed through sight. Everything was precisely as she had imagined, filled with new discoveries. "I'll announce it next weekend," Mildred decided. She planned to reveal this miraculous recovery and express her gratitude on her parents' wedding anniversary. It would be the perfect gift for them. One afternoon, Mildred had the chance to explore the house by herself while seeing it for the first time. Martha was away at her cleaning job at the nearby hospital, and Frank was working temporarily at the town's repair shop. To ease the burden of treatment costs on her parents, Mildred canceled all her client appointments for the day. "Today, I'll take my time looking around the house," she murmured, starting her exploration in the living room. The furniture she had learned to recognize by touch for 32 years was now visible to her. The old sofa was brown as expected, with the armrest slightly worn from use. Family photographs adorned the top of the television. Picking up a photo, she saw herself as a child with her parents. Frank and Martha appeared youthful, their faces bright with hope. Mildred was a little girl, cheerfully smiling between them. As she examined other photos, she found detailed records of her growth, school graduations, birthday parties, and family vacation memories. "I truly was raised with love," she thought, deeply moved. Mildred continued exploring the kitchen. On the old refrigerator, a copy of her massage therapist certification was stuck with a magnet. She felt her parents' pride. Heading upstairs, she entered her own room, which was simple but clean, a space her parents had arranged with care. Stuffed animals she had cherished as a child still rested on the bed. "Let me look at Mom and Dad's room, too," she thought, opening the door to her parents' bedroom. It was a modest but cozy space, with an old double bed, a well-used dresser, and a spacious closet. For 32 years, she had been in that room but had never seen it. On the dresser, there was a wedding photo of the couple. Young Frank and Martha were smiling joyfully in front of a church. Beside it was a photo of Mildred as a baby. "Oh my, I was so small," she marveled, picking up the photo for a closer look. A several-month-old version of herself was peacefully sleeping in Martha's arms. Yet, something fell off. Noticing the date on the photo, she saw it was several months after her own birthday. "That's odd." Mildred checked other photos. The earliest ones were all from around 6 months old. It was unusual that there weren't any newborn photos. Driven by curiosity, she opened the closet. Old clothes and linens were neatly stored. At the very back, she discovered an old wooden box. What could this be? The box was heavy and unlocked. Mildred carefully opened it, revealing old documents and letters. She opened the brown envelope on top, and an unfamiliar letter emerged. "This child is blind." At the moment she read the first line, Mildred's heart began to race. The letter went on, "We are poor and cannot afford to raise a disabled child. The doctor informed us that this child requires special treatment and education, but we lack the resources to provide that. Please, kind people, make this child happy. We are the worst parents. Yet, considering this child's future, we made this decision. Mildred's hands trembled as she read. The letter was dated June 15th, 32 years ago, when she was 6 months old. This child's name is Mildred. Please allow her to grow up happily. We will never meet again, but we will always remember her. At the end of the letter, the ink was smudged from tears. Mildred continued reading, her voice trembling. Please love this child. We couldn't do so. Looking further into the box, she found other documents, official adoption papers, hospital records, and a small notebook. Opening the notebook, she saw Martha's handwriting. June 15th, 1993, found Mildred in the park. She was in a basket wrapped in a blanket with a letter. Frank and I discussed it and decided to raise this child. I believe she's a gift from God. On the next page was Mildred's initial medical diagnosis: congenital visual impairment, low chance of treatment, requiring special education and ongoing medical care. Below that, Martha's handwritten notes continued. Medical expenses are high, but Frank and I will work hard together. We want to provide this child with a normal life. Tears blurred Mildred's vision. She had been an abandoned child, yet it was also true that she had been raised with Frank and Martha's unconditional love. The box contained other crucial documents: Mildred's growth records, medical receipts, school report cards, and her parents' diaries. Frank's diary read, "The day Mildred first said, 'Daddy, this child is truly our daughter. Blood relations don't matter.'" Martha's diary also contained loving entries, noting Mildred's first steps and how, despite being unable to see, she tried so hard. "This child is strong. She's our pride." Mildred sat on the floor and cried. For 32 years, she had been surrounded by love. She had been cherished deeply by parents who were not her biological ones. However, complicated feelings towards her birth parents began to rise. Should she feel resentment or understanding for the parents who had given her up due to their financial struggles? "Mildred, I'm home," Martha's voice called from downstairs. Mildred quickly returned the box to its original place and wiped her tears. "Mom, welcome home." "Oh, you were upstairs." "That's unusual," Martha said as she climbed the stairs. Mildred tried to appear normal, but her voice quivered. "I was just tidying up my room a bit." Martha looked at her with concern. "Are you okay? You seem a bit pale." "I'm fine, Mom, just a little tired." Mildred gazed at Martha, this woman who had loved her for 32 years as her adoptive mother. Even without blood ties, she had shown immense affection. "Mom, thank you." "For what?" "For always taking such good care of me." Martha smiled and placed her hand on Mildred's cheek. "You're our precious daughter. I'm just doing what's natural." Mildred felt the warmth of her mother's hand while making a decision in her heart. She would take time to accept this truth. However, one thing was certain: Frank and Martha were the most wonderful parents in the world. Mildred kept the truth she had discovered to herself while continuing her normal life. However, her feelings of gratitude towards her adoptive parents grew stronger each day. The sounds of Frank making breakfast, the moments when Martha spoke to her gently, everything felt more special than before. One Sunday morning, Mildred decided it was time to talk to her parents. After breakfast, while the three of them relaxed in the living room, Mildred quietly spoke up. "Dad, Mom, I have something to tell you." Frank looked up from his newspaper, and Martha paused her knitting. Sensing the seriousness in Mildred's voice, they both felt a shift. "What is it, Mildred?" "Actually, my vision has recovered. I can see completely now." Frank and Martha gasped in unison. Martha dropped her knitting onto her lap, and Frank let the newspaper slip from his hands. "Really?" Martha asked, her voice trembling. "Yes, I've been able to see completely since 3 days ago. But there's something else important." Taking a deep breath, Mildred continued. "I found the wooden box in your bedroom and I read the letter." Frank and Martha's expressions changed instantly. Martha covered her face, and Frank sighed deeply. "Oh, Mildred," Martha said, her voice catching. "We always thought this day would come." "Mom, Dad, I'm not angry. Rather, I'm filled with gratitude." Mildred held her parents' hands. For the first time, she was touching them while also seeing their hands. I can now understand how much I was loved and cared for during these 32 years. Blood relations don't matter. You are my true parents." Tears welled up in Frank's eyes. "Mildred, we've actually been debating whether we should tell you, but you seemed so happy, and we didn't want to hurt you." "Dad, I'm not hurt at all. Rather, discovering what wonderful people you are makes me proud." Martha embraced Mildred, crying. "When we first saw you, we felt it was destiny. We believed you were a gift from God." The box contained various other documents, medical receipts, growth records, diaries. Everything was proof of love. Frank stood up and went upstairs. A few minutes later, he returned with a wooden box. "There's no need to hide anything anymore. Let me show you what's in this box." The three of them sat on the floor, going through the contents one by one. Frank and Martha began sharing 32 years of memories. "This is when you first stood up," Frank said, pulling out a photo. "You were 14 months old. Even though you couldn't see, you tried to walk along the wall and fell many times, but you never gave up." Martha picked up another document. "This is the receipt for your first Braille textbook. It was quite expensive, but Frank worked overtime to buy it for you." Mildred examined each record, reaffirming the depth of her parents' love. "What's this?" she asked, discovering a small cloth bundle. "Those are the clothes you were wearing when you were abandoned," Martha replied quietly. "They were so small and hand-knitted." Mildred picked up the tiny clothes. "They were indeed made with love. My birth mother loved me too." "Yes, Mildred. You can tell from the letter that she let you go because she loved you." "She was poor and couldn't afford to raise a disabled child," Frank said. "I've never resented your birth parents. Instead, I'm grateful to them for letting you go. We were able to meet you." From the bottom of the box, another letter emerged. This one was written by Frank and Martha. "To Mildred, if you ever read this letter someday, we want you to know this. You changed our lives. Without you, our lives would have been empty. You are our daughter and our pride. Blood relations don't matter. Love is what creates family bonds." Mildred read the letter with a choked voice. "Dad, Mom, I'm the one who's grateful. Without you, I couldn't have thrived. Living a life filled with love, even without sight, was thanks to you." The three hugged tightly while crying. 32 years of love, sacrifice, and dedication had culminated in this moment. "Do you want to meet your birth parents?" Martha asked. Mildred pondered for a moment before responding. "I don't want to meet them now, but I don't resent them either. I believe they love me in their own way, but my real family is you." Frank stood up and retrieved a thick album from the bookshelf. "This is your growth record. From 6 months old until now, we've documented every moment." Flipping through the album, Mildred's life came to life in photographs. Her first birthday, kindergarten entrance ceremony, elementary school graduation, the day she earned her massage therapist certification. Frank and Martha's love was captured in every moment. "I am the happiest person in the world," Mildred declared. "Regaining my sight is a miracle, but being raised by such wonderful parents is an even greater miracle." Martha wiped her tears and smiled. "Mildred, you are a miracle. Because you were here, we learned what true happiness is." That night, the three of them talked late into the evening, sharing past memories, current happiness, and thoughts for the future. A bond of genuine family had formed, transcending blood relations. "Dad, Mom, I've decided. I don't intend to search for my birth parents. My family is only you." Frank and Martha felt a deep sense of relief at their daughter's words. "But if you ever want to meet them, we won't oppose it," Frank said. "That's right, Mildred. We'll prioritize your feelings." Mildred looked at her parents, expressing heartfelt gratitude. "Thank you, Dad. Mom, I'm the happiest daughter in the world." "And we're the happiest parents in the world," they replied. 6 months later, Mildred's life had transformed dramatically. With her sight, she began working as a counselor at the local support center for the visually impaired. Supporting others with similar experiences was a perfect fit for her. "Another new client is coming today," Martha said proudly while preparing breakfast. Frank also felt genuine joy about Mildred's success. Counseling by someone who has gone through what Mildred has isn't something just anyone can provide. Since the day of Mildred's revelation, the bond among the three had grown even deeper. With no more secrets, their family connection had strengthened. With the income from her new job, Mildred was able to support her parents' lifestyle. Frank reduced his temporary repair work, and Martha cut back her hospital cleaning job to 3 days a week. Our retirement is secure, Martha said with a smile. Mom, it's still too early to talk about retirement, but as long as I'm here, you don't need to worry. One day, Mildred came across an opportunity to discover information about her birth parents. A colleague at the support center brought in an old newspaper article. Mildred, this might be relevant to you. The article described a couple who had given up their child 32 years ago due to financial struggles. While names were withheld, the circumstances matched too closely. Mildred felt mixed emotions while reading the article. Her birth parents might still be alive. However, her heart was already set. That night, Mildred spoke to her parents. Dad, Mom, I might be able to find out information about my birth parents. Frank and Martha listened quietly, but she added, I don't want to meet them. Those people let me go because they loved me. There's no need to meet now and cause each other pain. Martha took her daughter's hand. Mildred, are you truly okay with that? Yes, Mom. My family is only you. 32 years of love is far more important than blood ties. Frank nodded thoughtfully. I respect your decision, Mildred. But if you ever change your mind, we'll support you anytime. Mildred felt grateful for her parents' understanding. They had always honored her wishes. Spring arrived, and new flowers bloomed in the Harrison family's small garden. Mom, these flowers are truly beautiful, Mildred said, marveling at the colors for the first time. Since you can see, the world looks different to us too, Martha replied. Mildred wholeheartedly agreed with her mother's words. The recovery of her vision had illuminated the entire family. One Sunday afternoon, the three of them strolled through the park. Mildred walked with her parents, reflecting on the possibility that this park might be where she had been abandoned. Dad, Mom, thank you. For what? For finding me, loving me, and raising me. I'm grateful for everything. Frank and Martha were touched by their daughter's words. Mildred, you're the one who enriched our lives. That's right. You're our treasure. The three sat on a park bench, watching the sunset. Mildred was moved by the beauty of the sunset she was witnessing for the first time. We truly are a happy family. Frank and Martha wholeheartedly agreed with Mildred's sentiment. Love that transcends blood relations. 32 years of dedication and present happiness, all blended harmoniously together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the three made their way home, Mildred walking arm in arm with her parents, feeling profound gratitude. Being blessed with a loving family was life's greatest fortune, even more than the miracle of regaining her sight. Dad, Mom, I'm the happiest daughter in the world. And we're the happiest parents in the world, they replied, laughter echoing through the twilight streets. True family love goes beyond blood and lasts forever.